on the road. The big news, though, from Butler, major changes to their starting five. Keelan Martin inserted into the starting lineup for the Bulldogs. He is not the only one. Coach, what's the thinking behind this game plan?
Well, it's incumbent on the head coach to put his team in position to win. And when you put Gathers and Martin in the game, you're putting your two best shooters on the roster statistically in the starting lineup. And that's to go up against Xavier's 1-3-1 zone defense and also the pack line defense the Musketeers employ. So when you put Gathers, who's shooting 51%, and Martin, who's shooting 44 on the floor, that's going to stretch that defense, give the bigs more time and space to operate down low, and also allow for some dribble penetration into the gaps or seams of that zone, the way Villanova attacked the Musketeers defense.
Yeah, and you can only change it if you have seniors who are capable of taking that and not taking it personally. This Butler team had the same starting lineup every game this season, 12, 13 games. There are only 35 teams in the country that have done that. So they've been healthy, but they've also been playing the right way. So this is going to be interesting how Holtman shakes it up to see what response he gets from the guys who are coming off the bench, who aren't used to coming off the bench, who used to being starters.
And it also shows the respect that Coach Holtman has for Xavier in terms of he doesn't want to wait 2 or 3 minutes in the game and be down 15 or 20. He wants to go with his best group right now for this game. And also speaks to conference play. Like baseball managers switching their lineups. You know one another so well. You know how to best position your team. That's what Coach Holtman.
Again, this is a coaching decision. There's no punishment out there, at least that we've been notified about. As for Xavier, 12-1, coming off that bad loss at Villanova. No Edmund Summer today, the young freshman guard, still injured. Did not practice yesterday. The coaching staff saying he will not play today as they continue to evaluate him. We hope to get him on the court sooner than later. But speaking of the court, let's get to the court. Out to Cincy. The guys calling the game for you, Joe Davis and Jim Jackson.
All right, Rob, it is the headline matchup of this Big East Marathon. Welcome to Big East College Hoops on FS1, sponsored by the Jeep Grand Cherokee. Be ready for anything winter throws at you. Conference season's already thrown a loss at these two squads through one game. A top 10 matchup with a pair of teams looking for some early conference season redemption. And the guys in the studio talked about it. Starting lineup significantly different, especially on that Butler side. Gathers, Martin, and Etherington all making their first starts of the season. Chris Mack goes with a bigger lineup with no Sumner. He inserts James Farr. With all of that, we welcome you courtside. We're fired up for this one. Joe Davis, Jim Jackson. Let's start off first talking about Butler. They lose on Thursday to Providence. Really bad second half in that game, and Chris Holtman has shaken things up.
Coach Lathman talked about this. It's not about punishment for the players, but sometimes the coach's voice has to be heard. You take away some privileges when you're not playing hard, and that's not starting. And I think it's important, like Coach also said, you send the message early so you can get off to a right start. It'll be interesting to see how long that lineup stays in the game.
All right, so one of the guys not in it is Kellen Dunham. It's only the second time in the last 3 seasons he's not started. It's not just about him not shooting it well, though.
It's not. Now, you look at the numbers, you say, yes, he's struggling from the perimeter, and maybe that's a reason why he's not starting. That's not it, okay? He had 0 rebounds the last game, only 1 assist. You're talking about making winning plays to help your team win. It's not all about putting the ball in the basket. And again, Coach Holtman wants Kellen Dunham to understand it's not just about scoring, about doing other little things.
Yeah, and on the other side, like the guys in the studio talked about, Edmund Sumner will not play today after that violent collision at Villanova on Thursday with a head injury. Further testing today, and he is day-to-day moving forward. What do they got to do to replace him?
It's hard to replace a player of Sumner's ability because he can beat you in transition. He loves to get to the basket. You see Miles Davis right there coming off a tough 1-for-8 shooting. It wasn't that. It was the 5 turnovers that he has to improve on. He has to be a playmaker for the Xavier team early in the game.
Yeah, and it's Butler to start with it, looking for their 3rd top 25 win of the season. Looking for their 2nd top 10 win. They've already knocked off Purdue this year. Roosevelt Jones, the 5th-year senior, working against Blewett, off the glass for the game's first point.
And I love the fact that with this lineup with Butler, who do you get the scoring from the perimeter? But yet and still, a bigger Xavier lineup. Where do they go? Inside to Roosevelt Jones, the steady playmaker to get their first basket.
One of the 3 players in this Butler lineup averaging at least 14 per game.
And you see the early double team inside from Butler on the baseline.
Remy Abell, mid-air adjustment to tie the game at 2.
And that's one thing James Farrar has done. He's accepted his role going inside, but immediately when he saw the double team, swung the basketball around, able to get a drive by Remy Abell.
Keelan Martin making his first start of the season, turns it over, lead pass for, blew it. And the contested shot from Roosevelt Jones falls off the rim.
And you see the hustle by Jones, not assuming that the layup will be made. That time influenced enough of the shot to make Blewett miss.
An offensive foul on a moving screen. It goes on Tyler Weidman. This head coach Chris Holtman, who signed a 6-year deal after last season where he became the head coach the second day of practice. Brandon Miller leaving for an undisclosed health reason. And has his team off to an 11-2 start, but 0-1 in conference play after that 81-72 loss to number 12 Providence on Thursday.
Talking to Chris Holtman early, you see Trayvon Blewett inside, an offensive rebound too for Farr. I looked at Coach and I said, I know you made it when I looked at the shoes, the upgrade in the shoes, the paycheck came. Now you're at a little different level.
Has he got the leather bottoms?
Oh, no, he got the pointed little bit. I mean, it's really nice. It might be designer Ferragamo, maybe some Gucci's.
Wow.
I kind of like it. That's when you know you're settled in as a coach.
Here's Weidman with a turnaround. One of the top field goal percentage players in the Big East, hitting above 60% this year, but misfires on his first attempt today.
And what you have when you don't have Kellen Dunham in the lineups, again, inside the emphasis for Xavier is that you don't have to guard the perimeter as close, so you can concentrate on taking away drives and easy baskets for Butler.
Jordan Gathers, first-year grad transfer from St. Bonaventure, wearing 5 in black. It's really been good for them lately. So is Keelan Martin, averaging 18 per game over the last 5, and he's got his first 3 today.
And the beauty about Martin is this, is that he accepted his role as coming off the bench. He didn't care because he knew he was going to get his minutes, and now he has the opportunity now to step into the lineup. But really, when you have a young player accept that role, knowing that he should be and could be in the starting lineup.
Miles Davis off the back iron, Farr with his 3rd offensive rebound. And it will stay on this end of the floor as they call a foul on Austin Etherington. Chris Mack celebrated his 46th birthday on Wednesday. Got them off to the best start in program history, 12-0. 12-1 after the Villanova loss by 31 in Philadelphia.
And you don't want to make excuses, because I do believe early in that game, because of the injury, Jalen.
Look out for Reynolds.
And let me just talk about a young man that needs, I think, to have an impact on this game, in particular from the offensive end, is Jalen Reynolds, because he has highlight-type potential that gets the crowd involved, also his teammates.
Etherington off the front of the rim. Hey, you're talking about how much they suffered after Edmund Sumner left that game on Thursday. Davis thought about a 3, finds Blewett, he'll fire, and hit. A 13-0 run for Villanova following the 2 free throws that Reynolds took for Sumner. So it was pretty clear that they were shot as soon as he left.
Not only that, Coach Chris Mack was shot as well. But it's tough for young guys, and you see another turnover here by Butler, to physically make that, mentally make that adjustment. And you're talking about a young man making an adjustment right here. Inside, Jalen Reynolds able to relieve a little space and use that outstanding athletic ability to finish above the rim.
Great scoring depth on the Xavier team. He's one of 6 players that averages at least 9 per game. But, of course, one of those 6 is Sumner, who is day-to-day undergoing more testing today after that head injury on Thursday. Not in the building today. Reynolds back to the bucket, gets doubled. Stumbles with the ball falling to Gathers. Gathers against Remy Abell, has it knocked out of bounds. It will stay on this end of the floor, under 16 in a rivalry game, and it feels like it early on. Good tempo, back and forth down the floor, and Jalen Reynolds throwing one down for his first bucket of the game. Back to this top 10 matchup in a moment. First meeting this year between these programs. They met 3 times last year, including in the Big East quarterfinals. Overtime Xavier win Keelan Martin was a freshman during that game. He's a sophomore now. He's been coming off of the bench, and he's their second leading scorer.
You know how difficult it is to have a young, talented player accept his role of coming off the bench, knowing that he could be in the starting lineup. You see the numbers speak for themselves, but I think that shows the maturity of this young man to understand that his impact is bigger than just starting, because he knows as a player, listen, I'm going to be in there when it counts. And his productivity has proven that, and that's why he's playing extremely well.
The other one halfway down, pops out to James Farr. Still no Kellen Dunham on the floor. More than 4 minutes into the game for Butler. Trayvon Blewett. Now Miles Davis and back to Blewett. James Farr. They double the post and force a turnover. Martin with a bounce for Jones. Back to Martin for the slam.
And that's why coaches always talk about be active with your hands. The deflection allowed the steal, which now allows Butler to use their quickness and athleticism to get out in transition and get a couple easy baskets.
Xavier turned it over 19 times, leading to 26 Villanova points on Thursday. James Farr. There's Martin up for the rebound. This Butler team offensively, one of the best in the country statistically, averaging close to 90 per game.
But where they're really set in stone is on the defensive end, and consecutive stops is what they were able to get. Let's see if they can take advantage on the offensive end right here.
Martin working on Abell. Keelan Martin knocks it down, and 7 early ones for the sophomore.
And some players just have a feel for the game and understanding of how to get their shots. Keelan Martin is one of them.
Reynolds had that one fall right into his lap. Off an early 3 fired up there by Trayvon Blewett.
Inside, and you see the double team is going to come from this side. As cutters come through, the thing you always want to do is have active hands. Yes, the player may be taller, but by getting the deflection, now you're able to get out, get numbers. An excellent decision by Roosevelt Jones hitting Martin, trailing for an easy 2.
So 5.5 minutes into the game, here comes Kellen Dunham, their leading scorer, who lately has struggled mightily. 0 for his last 23 from 3.
When you always talk about struggling for a guard, it's all about jump shots. You know, the thing about Kellen Dunham to me is figure out ways to get some easy baskets, because if he was really struggling mentally, his free throw percentage would also be reflective of that. So you need to figure out ways, and Coach Holtman talked about this, to try to get him some easy baskets early so he can see the ball go in the basket.
Drives on Remy Abell and gets his shot blocked by James Farr, who successfully bounds the ball off of Dunham.
But I'm not mad at that, because Dunham didn't settle for a jump shot. He attempted to take the ball to the basket. That was just excellent defense and recognition by Farr coming to clean up the block shot.
And he's had his issues with Remy Abell over the last year. Abell, for all intents and purposes, totally shut him down in the 3 meetings last year. One of the best on-ball defenders in the Big East.
And talking to Remy Abell was all about forcing Kellen Dunham to put the ball on the deck, and when he's open or he has a shot, to make him shoot over a contested hand.
Farr goes into Travis, turns it over again. Sloppy start on that end for Xavier. Jones the other way through contact and foul. We go on a number of Xavier players. They get Remy Abell his first.
And just a smart, heady play by Roosevelt Jones. He's not going to beat you with quickness. He's not going to out-athletic size you, if that's a word. But what he's going to do is use his mind. And that time on the break, he knew exactly where he wanted to get to. And he got there, got to the basket, and able to pick up a foul, now at the free throw line.
It's not a word, but it worked. I knew what you meant.
Yeah. Sometimes as broadcasters, we like to make stuff up. It sounds good at the time. It
sounded really
Actually,
good.
it sounded like I was really intelligent. And you thought about it, maybe we should make that a word.
Yeah, who's the group that is a Merriam-Webster decides each year to add new words?
We're going to add that. I'm going to put my picture next to it.
John O'Mara fresh into the game. And again, Butler doubling the post. Forcing a cross court to Abell, who buries a 3.
And that's the pass you want to take away if you're Butler. You want to take away the cross-court pass because you can't recover quick enough. But excellent recognition that time by O'Meara to get the ball out of his hands quickly.
Offensive foul, Keelan Martin. Chris Holtman making a substitution. Gathers in. Martin sits down. Tyler Lewis is in the game as well now for Butler. They're normally starting point guard. Coming off of the bench today. Here's Weidman again. Jones gets a rare rest.
And the lineup that began the game did their job. I mean, you're only down 4 points. The guys that haven't generally started before in an environment where, you know, Miles Davis to the basket that Xavier really could have taken off early on. Give credit to the Butler guys for stepping in, not allowing that to happen.
That's something Chris Holtman did in the second half of a preseason tournament against Miami. They were getting rolled after 20 minutes. He went to the same lineup that he started this game with. Really his toughest 5 on that day. He thought his toughest 5 Thursday against Providence. They didn't win that Miami game, but he was pleased with the grit they played that second half with.
It forces your starters to come back in and meet that same intensity that your reserve players had shown.
Dunham trying to shake loose if Abell can't do it. Tyler Lewis goes by O'Meara, scoops it up and in.
That looked like one of your moves right there, Joe.
Oh, man.
On the playground.
I don't know about that.
I'm telling you.
Video game. Athleticized his way to the rim, right?
Exactly. See, now you're gonna use it. See?
He's making sure Merriam-Webster has a use it in a sentence already established.
My contribution to the English language.
Right. Abell goes right by Dunham. Second time in as many possessions we've seen a Xavier player drive right by Dunham.
Right, and that's one of the things why he's not in the lineup. Excellent pick and roll here, but recovery. There it is.
Snapping it 0 for 23. How's that feel to see go
Let me tell you
through?
something. One shot. I'm talking about a shooter. One time. Let's see if that one gives the confidence back, but also picks up his defensive intensity.
And you know what Chris Mack is thinking? Oh, no. That was the same thing you just said. Abell looks to respond, and does, with a fadeaway 3 out of the corner. He's got 10 already.
Well, it's good for Remy Abell because he had been struggling with his jump shot as well. And he plays so hard, you love to see him rewarded by baskets going in early in the game.
Jordan Gathers can't hit, and the foul on the rebound goes on Miles Davis. That's already number 2 on him.
You talked about Chris Mack. This is one thing he did not want to see early on. It was Kellen Dunham knocking down a 3, but favor for favor. This time, Remy Abell exchanging the 3 for a nice 2 on the reverse. Xavier in control early, 21-15.
Xavier by 6. Both these teams looking for their first Big East wins of the season. And 10 of those 21 for X coming from Remy Abell, who only averages 7 per game.
Only shooting about 38% from the field, 32 behind the three-point line, but he gives you so much from an experience perspective, a guy that can knock down jump shots, excellent on the defensive end of the court. And when he's able to put the ball in the basket, now he spreads your defense apart because now he's knocking down jump shots that make easier passes inside. But I love the heart and the way that Remy plays. Again, a product of that Indiana system, Tom Crean, playing in-your-face defense. He takes pride in shutting the opposing team's best player down.
And today, Chris Mack banking on that being Kellen Dunham. He did not start. He's come off of the bench and already hit a 3. Keelan Martin launches off the mark. Travis tips it out of bounds, but they say it was touched last by Xavier.
You can see right here, carry him off the board and watch James Farr right there. Momentum towards the other way.
Harry Austin comes up with a steal. Here's Abell flying to the rim, and Dunham fouls him. Don't you, if you're a Xavier fan, every time there's a play like that, somebody flying to the rim, you hold your breath now after what happened Thursday?
You do, and you don't subconsciously think about it. I think subconsciously there, but a really good job that time by Kellen Dunham because he got the foul on Remy Abell. He wasn't able to get the shot up. He grabbed him by the arms, not up underneath him, but able to grab him so he can't finish at the rim.
Already 11 for Remy Abell. And if you haven't yet seen this, this is on Thursday, less than 3 minutes into the game. Sumner was unconscious for a moment, was taken off on a stretcher for testing at a Philadelphia hospital. Was still able to travel home on the team plane and undergoing more testing today. He's been around the team some over the last couple of days. His mother in town from Detroit. They figured it was best for him not to be in the arena today.
The good thing they're talking about is long-term effects. Take every precaution necessary.
Do you think Reynolds' presence altered that shot?
No doubt. Travis was looking around in his rear view to see where Reynolds was at.
Got him searching, can't hit. Back comes Xavier. This was Chris Holtman's biggest fear. Musketeers in transition.
Excellent time. Butler sprinting back to the paint, taking away any easy opportunities, forcing Xavier to now reset their offense.
And an offensive foul. They get Larry Austin. His first. Miles Davis on the bench right now with his 2 fouls. So it's Austin in to run the point with Sumner out. Crowd wanted an offensive foul. Instead, they get Lewis throwing one wildly off of the board. Martin pulls up, left it short. And a collision between Reynolds and Travis, or looks like Dunham actually. And they're going to get Dunham for the foul. It's number 2 on him.
We caught the back end of this, and this was a shot by Martin up top. Dunham right there, kind of showing a little love to Jalen Reynolds by wrapping him up by the arm. And you see the strength of Jalen Reynolds right there. Just one arm just kind of slung Helen Dunham to the ground. But Xavier has to do a better job of this, though, containing the dribble. Right now, Butler is able to get to the paint. Now, far, Reynolds has to help. You're susceptible to offensive rebounds if you're Xavier.
Good find. J.P. McKeer, a nice flyby move, then got too fancy and turned it over. Gathers back the other way, gets it in despite Reynolds bearing down on it.
And Chris Mack, coach, is not happy with the decision of McKeer to not make the simple pass instead of trying to get a highlight reel type of pass behind the back.
This time McKeer drives, puts it up, draws the foul, and finishes.
Coach Mack is like, well, last play before that, why not just put it up to the rim and get an opportunity? As you see, McKeer right here, this young man can score, but he has a little bit of something with his game, so you're going to have to deal with maybe sometimes the quick shots and the decision-making. But when he's focusing on point, he adds so much value to the offensive side of this Xavier team.
Chris Mack told us a story a couple of weeks ago about J.P. McKeer sagging off when he was defending and a guy drilling a 3 in front of him. Chris threw his hands up and said, "What are you doing, JP?" And while most kids would kind of hang their heads and be upset about getting laid into, he goes down to the other end, the ensuing possession, fires up a 25-footer and drills it.
You are who you are as a player, and as coaches, you got to figure out how to make that their games and mindset fit within your system, vice versa as well as a player.
Lewis was daring Reynolds to shoot the jump shot. He passed it up. Now he'll take it from 3 and rip it. Travis straight away quiets the crowd with a response.
And that was a basket that Butler needed desperately. You heard the crowd was into it. Xavier players, the energy was there. But Butler calmly worked the ball around and got the kind of shot they wanted. Travis able to knock it down pinpoint from top of the key.
The big men stepping out, putting on an exhibition. Reynolds juggles and gets fouled, then tumbles to the floor. What is becoming an increasingly emotional rivalry game.
Well, excellent post-up position, but high-low from far inside to Jalen Reynolds. Patient enough to allow the defender to fly by, but draw contact to now get to the basket. Again, nothing intentional on that play. That's just hard play, a good foul. Now Jalen can capitalize from the free throw line.
So 2 coming for Jalen Reynolds. Junior out of Detroit. Went to Brewster Academy for prep school. Unlimited raw talent and potential for this guy.
Potential, but the consistency and effort has to be there. Because when his motor is on full tilt, offensively and defensively, he changes the dynamics of the game, and he teases you with the post play, but also the ability to step out and knock down some long-range jump shots.
We saw him hit that 3 last possession. If he adds that to his game, does he become a legitimate NBA potential player?
Well, he already has that potential. Again, it's a mindset issue with Jalen Reynolds. It's playing hard, but understanding what my impact can be on the game.
How about his 2nd career 3?
But Jalen Reynolds right here, he's showing you his complete game to say, listen, I can dunk, I'm athletic, but at the same time, I can step out and knock down jump shots.
It's coming down, I promise.
No, it's raining. Let it rain inside Cincinnati right now, in the impact and the excitement of Jalen Reynolds right there.
Don't miss a single Big East basketball game this season. You can add the full schedule to your calendar by going to foxsports.com/Big East TV. Got a full day of it today. This is only the 2nd of 5 Big East contests here on FS1. Providence and St. John's following us. That Providence squad off to a heck of a start, featuring the top 2 scorers in the conference.
And we all know about Chris Dunn and his ability to get to the basket to make plays. But how about Ben Ventil this year? Coach Ed Cooley talked about if this team was actually going to take it to another level, that Ventil has to be a double-double guy, a guy that's a threat inside and out. And he's proven us that he can be that secondary scorer for that Providence team. Off to a great start.
Well, Butler led them by 11 at halftime on Thursday. Providence scored 56 in the second half to beat them 81-72. Backdoor lob, Keelan Martin, who's got 9.
And you can tell a well-coached team, as you see Makura launch up a 3. Out of the timeout, Butler able to execute a play and get a basket.
With Trayvon Blewett following the miss, the lead back to 10.
And we haven't said Trayvon Blewett's name much, but that time using that big body inside to get an offensive rebound.
Tyler Lewis trying to fire up a 3 against that 1-3-1 zone. Now Butler on Thursday hit a season-low 3 threes. Gathers made all 3 that he took. Everybody else was 0 for 14 combined.
And against the 1-3-1 zone, you have to be patient.
Butler looks to run. Not seen much of this in recent years. Gathers, I think, overthought it. And then a foul off of the miss.
But here's the smart thing about Roosevelt Jones. That time he took the ball away from the defense to the left side, which allowed Gathers now to find room in order to catch the pass and ultimately have the shot. Again, a highly intelligent play that time by Roosevelt Jones.
5th-year senior for Butler, who missed an entire year 2 years ago, and Butler struggled mightily without him. 4-14 in Big East play. Turn last year was all conference again. Here he is going baseline, finding Weidman in the middle of that zone.
Again, patience, ball movement, you shift the zone. Now you have an opportunity to find the gaps. That time, Weidman able to knock it in.
Reynolds screening for Blewett. Rolled to the bucket. Jones recovered. Here's Farr. And it was contested by Weidman. Lewis finds Weidman. Back-to-back buckets for the sophomore. The lead is down to 6.
And how do you take advantage of size? You move size, you attack it before the set. That time, excellent defensive stop, get out in transition, and then make a play.
6-0 fast break points. Butler with the advantage. It's a different Butler team than last year. The way they get out and run.
They have so many more playmakers that can put the ball on the deck and attack you off the dribble. Put so much pressure on opposing teams' defense. Right here, you have to move the ball side to side, and when you do that, you find the little gaps inside, and that's when you're patient enough to get the kind of shot that you want if you're Butler. And then, first of all, you get a stop. The defense is not set. Excellent job by Lewis. A little pocket bounce pass inside, exploiting the defense, but again, it's Butler getting stops on the defensive end that allows him to get out and run.
Well, they've continued to double the post. That's the 5th time they've forced a turnover doing it.
And Xavier has to be a little bit more patient, accept the double team, and then make the correct play out of it.
Travis, size advantage on Blewett. Was really good against Xavier last season, but that one popped out on him. Miles Davis finding Blewett in transition. Weidman clears the board and then gets fouled by Makira. Sometimes his overzealousness is just a little much.
Well, at that time you allow Butler to grab another foul to get him closer to the penalty, and that's something you don't want. When you're in the backcourt like that, you don't have a chance to make a play on the ball, just run back. And you love the enthusiasm, the hustle, but sometimes that enthusiasm can come back to bite you too.
Both teams will shoot on fouls the rest of the way in this half. A 6-point game in this top 10 matchup. Two teams that fell in their Big East openers on Thursday. Xavier to Villanova, Butler to Providence.
Excellent help that time by far by taking away the baseline of Dunham.
Roosevelt Jones able to finish through contact.
It's just amazing. Undersized, but just finds a way to get it done. And that's something you just can't teach. It's instinctive for Roosevelt Jones.
They call the 8th foul on Butler, so it will be a 1-and-1 coming for Blewett. Look at Roosevelt Jones for his first. Or did they say he was in the act of shooting? The officials were still sorting that out. I'm going to say 1-and-1. Well, Jeffrey Anderson saying 2. Ed Corbett was saying 1-and-1. And now Corbett agrees with Anderson. And it will be 2 shots. Wouldn't have mattered. Doesn't look like anybody was totally sure whether it was 1-and-1 or 2 shots. We will never know.
Well, Trayvon didn't care. He said step up and say, I'm going to make 2 anyway.
Yeah.
So.
He has made 17 consecutive free throws, and the lead back to 6 for number 6.
And you see Roosevelt Jones manning the point guard position for this Butler team.
Dylan Martin. Travis downhill, fires it up wildly. Martin tracks it down. Gates closes out. Ball never hit the rim, so just 5 to shoot. Jones on the drive. Kicks it out. Dunham gets it off and knocks it down. You think Kellen Dunham's back? His second 3 of the game.
And as a shooter, Kellen didn't have a chance to think about that shot. He had to catch, shoot, and get it up.
Yeah, that's the thing,
you know,
right?
and that's where muscle memory right here just took over. Immediately when he caught and it touched his hands, his fingertips, he was in shooting position to just let it fly.
It's like when I play speed golf. I hit it straight.
Now, you imagine, though, when you think about it, when you play speed golf, how relaxed you are.
Oh, you don't even think?
You don't even think about it.
Nope.
I should do that more often.
I think I can squeeze 9 in before dark.
You want to
Best round of my life.
Yeah, I'm telling you. I think too much on the golf course.
Me
that
too.
Swing, come through, follow, head down.
Way
too much.
Way too much. Remy Abell with the defense from Martin. Kaiser Gates found it and drew the foul. Did some nice things for him in extended time on Thursday against Villanova. And getting some run here in the first half of a rivalry game. Second foul on Keelan Martin.
Rob Stone in studio. Coming up on the Jeep Halftime Report, see how Seton Hall held on in our Big East Marathon opener, and number 7 North Carolina struggling with the hot shooting Georgia Tech, plus West Virginia looking to avoid an upset in Manhattan. Joe, Jim, back to you guys.
All right, Rob, Happy New Year. Back here in Cincinnati, Xavier by 3. We've talked about how Remy Abell's having to chase Kellen Martin all around the floor, doing a pretty good job of it, but the basketball gods frowning on him at the end of this possession.
Yeah, but give Remy Abell a lot of credit because he's trying to stay attached to Kellen Dunham, and when you have confidence in your back line that you can get help like James Farr here, now you can push up a little bit more, but some players somehow find a way to just knock down shots. It is nothing that Remy Abell could do in that situation to negate that three-point shot by Kellen Dunham.
Who had missed 23 threes in a row coming into this game. He's buried both that he's taken today. You said it when he hit the first one. You said it even before then. Sometimes it just takes one, seeing that ball go through.
It does, and maybe it also took Kellen Dunham the opportunity to sit and watch the game evolve a little bit on the bench, to calm and relax himself, and then come in and establish his own rhythm that way. Took a little pressure off of him, I think, and it's boded well thus far for not only himself, but Xavier, who is only down 4 at this point.
And overall this year, averaging 15 per game, but in his last 5, he's been averaging less than 5 per game. A three-point shot, such a huge part of his game, and when it's not there, that's what happens to the scoring numbers. 2 free throws by Kaiser Gates, and the lead back to 5. Dunham spinning baseline and drawing the foul. When he does that, typically getting a couple of points out of it. Top free throw shooter in the conference at 94%.
Well, and that time it was Gates, because Remy Abell did an excellent job of cutting off the baseline, and right in there, that reach by Gates is what caused the foul. Again, a mistake by a young player, not recognizing that Abell had Kellen Dunham under control.
48 of 51, effortless. You said, you know, a guy is truly struggling when a shooter starts struggling at the line as well. But, I mean, that's remained close to perfect.
It has, because he hasn't allowed the lack of knocking down jump shots to take away his ability to focus at the free throw line. And that's what gives you pause and confidence as a coach, that shooting slump he would get out of him right now in this first half. To be able to show that that's the case is a great sign for Butler.
He's made 49 of 52 on the season now. And it takes a seat with 3.5 left in the first half. Remy Abell driving by, gathers, plus the foul. What a first half for the Indiana transfer.
Well, this is a play that Coach Mack works on. It's a clear out to the weak side that gives Remy Abell a chance, and Jaden Reynolds does an excellent job of clearing out space, but it's a quick move to take away the defense, and Abell 1-2 dribbles, get to the rim, absorb the contact, and can complete, almost complete the three-point play.
14 for him to lead all scores. Tyler Lewis pushing the ball up the floor in a hurry. Jones turns it over. Here's Larry Austin. Offensive foul.
That's the second one by Austin. We saw with a little clear out, I think with his inside left arm right there. Oh, yeah, it was a push with the elbow. So it was an excellent call by the official. A young player has to figure out ways to fend off a defender and be a little bit more sneaky.
A little savvy.
Savvy with that off arm.
So 2 fouls on both guys splitting the point guard duties today. Miles Davis, Larry Austin, with Edmund Sumner out, undergoing further testing after that head injury. Roosevelt Jones, vintage right there.
You don't need to say anything on that. Just say Roosevelt Jones for 2. Just
that's what it looks like.
Just leave it alone. Butler in the little 3-2 zone right here. Same thing, see if you can have the ball touch inside, but Trayvon, and that's the shot, if you're Butler, you want Xavier to take a 23-24-foot shot out of the zone instead of looking inside to exploit the side.
Travis over Reynolds. Travis, for the second consecutive game struggling, went 2 for 11 on Thursday. More the same today as Blewett reverses it up and in.
The outlet pass quickly to Trayvon Blewett allowed him to attack this Butler defense that was not set in place.
Jones had it stripped by Blewett. Numbers for Xavier. Blewett from Austin. Timeout, Butler. Trayvon Blewett with a good stretch as Xavier in front by 7. Much improved player here in his sophomore year.
And you see him learn to be efficient, more confident as a shooter. He's taking the shots. Teammates are imploring him to be more aggressive, and his body has matured. And for all the players out there and coaches got to be proud of how you run the fast break to perfection. The ball is up, out of hands, able to get transition, and Trayvon Blewett. And coaches work on 3-on-2, 2-on-1 fast breaks, and that time executed to perfection by Xavier.
Blewett has 9. Shot clock winding down. Jones travel. Boy, this officiating crew is on it. Ed Corbett, Jeffrey Anderson, Gary Prager doing a great job of working together to get a call that they agree with there.
And sometimes with Roosevelt Jones, because of his lack of size and maybe outside shooting, he's going to force the issue a little bit and try to get closer to the basket. And that particular occasion, that time, it forced him into a travel.
That's 7 Butler turnovers now, which is 3 short of their game average. Number 3 in the country, only turning it over 9.5 times per game. Reynolds wants it inside, doesn't get it.
Well, they have to figure out a way to attack this part of the zone.
Davis with a 3 that's too strong.
See, when you take that shot, it's a bailout shot for a Butler defense. You have to either let it touch the short corner or around the free throw line to collapse the defense a little bit more.
But a 9-second differential in game and shot. Lewis gets to the block. Out to Gathers on the drive. Adjusted midair and an offensive foul, his 3rd.
And an excellent read and anticipation by Miles Davis, understanding that Gathers had committed himself to the air, was able to get there in time, absorb the contact, and get a charge call.
That's a big call there because it was going to be number 3 on one of those guys, either Miles Davis or Jordan Gathers, and it's Gathers that picks up his 3rd. Final possession of this first half. Xavier ranked as high as number 6 for the first time in program history, trying to bounce back from that blowout loss on Thursday at Villanova. Davis dribbles to the corner, nearly turns it over. Ball on the floor with 4 seconds with 3. And the whistle with 2.3. A kicked ball with a possession arrow keeping it on this end of the floor for one last inbound.
Excellent hustle that time by both teams, getting their knees dirty, getting on the ground.
Chris Mack going to take a timeout, draw something up. Full day of Big East hoops today. Tomorrow, Pac-12 hoops are back. 2 great in-state rivalries, Arizona, Arizona State, and then Oregon and Oregon State. Coverage starting at 2 Eastern right here on FS1. All streams live on Fox Sports Go. What are you drawing up here with 2.3 for Xavier?
It's either a lob to the basket here. You have enough time to screen the zone and maybe get a shot in the corner. A guy coming off the screen.
They find Miles Davis. There it is, Jim Jackson. Maybe you should coach.
Nah, I'm pretty smart, but I'm intelligent enough to know that my job is better over here.
Inventing words, drawing up plays.
That means I'm old.
Yeah, Xavier finishes the first half on a 9-2 run.
Well, here it is, Miles Davis coming in. He's going to go to the baseline. This defender has to take away this pass. Travis right there, just allow him the pass to come inside. It's a straight line pass. There's no way you can recover to that. Excellent play by Xavier, but poor defense by Butler to end the half.
First 3 ball of the half for Miles Davis brings this half to a close. Coming up at halftime, the Jeep Grand Cherokee halftime report. Rob Stone, Steve Lavin, Donnie Marshall, all waiting back in Los Angeles to guide you through the day's action. Big East College Hoops on FS1 is sponsored by the Jeep Grand Cherokee. Be ready for anything winter throws at you. Game 2 of the Big East season for these squads, both coming off losses. Top 10 matchup and a good one so far. 45-35. Xavier's led almost the entire way, getting 14 from Remy Abell, whose season high is 15. And we welcome you back courtside to get this second half started. Joe Davis with Jim Jackson. We talked about this before the game. With no Edmund Sumner, who would that second scoring threat be outside of Trayvon Blewett? It's been Remy Abell.
It's been Remy Abell, and that shoot-around Coach Chris Mack in particular told Remy to be aggressive.
Yeah.
If Kellen Dunham was guarding you, attack him off the dribble. And Remy Abell, being an older player, understands the difference between a good shot and a bad shot. And here, allowing the defense to work for him, he's able to knock down the 3, 2 for 3 from behind the three-point line. And when you knock down some jump shots, your driving lanes become open. You're able to drive. Again, making yourself available, but not forcing the situation. Excellent first half by Remy Abell.
These are the top 2 rebounding teams in the Big East. Pretty close. Xavier +2 on the glass in the first half. 8 turnovers, though, for Butler. They're number 3 in the country, turning it over just 9.5 times per game on the season.
Yeah, and Xavier able to take advantage of that. You see Remy Abell again on the drive. And this was a play drawn up again out of the timeout by Coach Mack. Cleared the side for Remy to attack on the baseline.
So now a new season high for him, 16 to lead all scores. Xavier's already matched its largest lead of the game at a dozen. Here's Dunham. Got away with a travel and then hit his first 2 of the game.
I like the fact that Kellen Dunham attacked Remy Abell off the dribble and didn't settle for a jump shot.
10 now for Dunham. They've been averaging less than 5 per game over the last 5. Farr got double teamed and fouled.
And that time, the double team is coming from the baseline. Jalen Reynolds is on the opposite post. Weidman that time coming from the baseline. But the reach in, you don't want to bail out the Xavier players, Farr in particular, when you have a really good double team.
Somehow found Reynolds, who found Blewett. Had it halfway down, popped out to Weidman. Butler looking for its 3rd win over the top 25 already this year. Looking for their 2nd top 10 win. They already beat Purdue. Dunham cut off going baseline. Gets it back from Weidman. The 2-play catch before Weidman dribbles on the block and throws up a wild shot that Etherington finds and turns over to James Farr. Blewett. A block. Called on Etherington.
Joe, you're talking about Xavier and beating Purdue, a top 10 team, who's bigger physically inside. But one thing this Butler team does extremely well, they may not have the size, but they're intelligent enough to know exactly where the ball is going to carry them off of shots and put their bodies in position to rebound the basketball.
Yeah, they may finish dead last in the Big East when it comes to the eye test. They get off the bus test.
Yes. But not intelligent.
No. James Farr off of the backdoor cut. Miles Davis found it.
And guess what? It was the ability to move the defense and then find the gap at the free throw line. Miles Davis, excellent job of not trying to penetrate the ball through the defense. Excellent bounce pass inside the Farr.
Jones posting Miles Davis up. Big size advantage inside. Davis now fronts him. Keelan Martin. Now Jones. Weidman screens. Jones drives. Finds Etherington, who knocks down the 3. His first bucket of the game. Back to single digits.
You get the ball in the middle. You collapse the defense. Jones again being active.
Everybody active on that end. Jones into Farr. They fouled him.
Senior foul number 2 is James Farr. That's his first personal foul. First 2 fouls.
You know what, Joe? Favre has to understand this about Roosevelt Jones. He's going to attack to try to put his body into his, to negate the size. Favre was in position to defend, but at the last minute, he reached it out. Advantage Roosevelt Jones.
Well, Chris Mack was harping on it this morning at the shoot-around that his dribble is never dead. You got to stay with Roosevelt Jones until the very last moment. And one of 2 Big East scorers in the top 30 in the conference that doesn't have a 3-point attempt. Luke Fisher of Marquette is the other. Only one in his entire career. He's attempted more than 1,100 shots. 1 3.
But he doesn't get caught up in trying to do things that he's not capable of. And that's why he's so efficient and effective for his Butler team.
How many 6'4" players in the country
Not a lot.
who play as often as him have attempted 1 career 3?
No, but you get caught up into expanding your game and trying to do things that you can't do, and thus you become ineffective.
Travis has been ineffective the last game and a half or so. It's just 1 for 5 in the first half. He's got a bucket. It's a 7-0 Butler run, and it's down to a 5-point deficit.
And you're able to get a little momentum if you're Butler. Right now, you're attacking this Xavier team off the dribble, forcing them to put more of an emphasis on their one-on-one defense.
Abel baseline on Dunham, who's stuck with him. So it's Reynolds, who's buried a 3 already today. 5 to shoot. Here's Blewett. 3 to shoot. Trayvon Blewett knocked away by Jones. And a shot clock violation.
And a prime example in the last 2 or 3 possessions by this Butler team of why they're so good. Coaches always talk about we need to get stops. Not only stops, Joe, we need to get consecutive stops. That's how you get yourself back in the basketball game. And Butler on their last 3 defensive possessions were outstanding.
They forced 10 Xavier turnovers today now. Jones with a whistle, feeding inside to Martin. This will be a Xavier foul on Blewett. It's his first. Akira comes in, replacing Farr. Xavier goes with a smaller lineup. Dunham fades. Reynolds rebounds.
See, this is where you miss Sumner right now, that ability for him to get that push up the court and make something happen off the secondary break.
And the crowd and Chris Mack lobbying that ball was last touched by Butler. So they're right.
Well, let's take a look here, right? Could you see if...
Might have been an illusion. Well, it looked like the ball took the same angle it would have had Jones hit it, but I'm not sure that he did.
Yeah, it was tough to see from that point.
Keelan Martin. Abel gets the rebound over Travis, who's 4 inches taller. Reynolds. Travis bodies up. Reynolds leaves it short. Jones spinning his way up the floor. Weidman, good position inside. Blewett fought in front of him for the steal. Looks to push. Trayvon Blewett gets fouled. And 2 shots coming on the other side of the break after Travis picks up his second. What a day of Big East hoops, and we are just getting started. This is game 2 of 5, so keep it here on FS1 all day long. Get to see the top 2 scorers in the conference in the next game, Providence and St. John's. We finished the day with Villanova and Creighton, and Xavier saw up close the scoring ability Ryan Arcidiacono has on New Year's Eve.
And some guys just have another team's number, and that's Ryan Arcidiacono with Villanova, 7 for 14 from behind the arc. Just has an immense amount of confidence when he plays against his Xavier team. And it's not that Xavier defense just wasn't there. It's just that he was just better on that particular evening.
3-headed scoring monster for Jay Wright. Arcidiacono, Brunson, the freshman. Hart, who was the 6th man of the year last year in the Big East, averaging close to 15 per game this season.
It's tough when you have 3 guards, and Josh Hart is that hybrid kind of forward guard position. that can create off the bounce, that can beat you knocking down jump shots, that are very solid defensively. And the way the rules are and the game's being played, it favors teams that have depth in the backcourt.
That was Big East basketball, brought to you by Jeep Grand Cherokee. Blewett misses a pair of free throws, snapping the 17 for 17 run for the sophomore.
A chance again for Butler to get this lead down to 2 or 3.
Here's Dunham, who doesn't need much of a window. Jones driving, getting fouled by Blewett.
And once again, Xavier defense in position took away the initial drive of Roosevelt Jones, but it was the reach again at the end, the undisciplined reach, that now causes the foul and put Jones to the free throw line.
I want to make a quick correction. Before the last break, we said Travis had picked up his second. They actually called that foul on Keelan Martin, so Martin right now playing with 3. And the foul there on Blewett, number 2. Roosevelt Jones steps to the line for one more. It's an 8-0 Bulldog run and a 4-point game 5 minutes into the second half. Davis with a window. Then he steps right through and drills the 3.
Rhythm shot that time by Miles Davis. The ball movement by Remy Abell on the perimeter, short penetration, loosened up the defense enough to create enough space for Miles Davis to get that jump shot off.
Big shot right there, Jim, snapping an 8-0 run for Butler.
Big shot not only for Xavier, I think for Miles Davis and his confidence as well, Joe.
Travis was loose for a moment. Instead, Jones drives, gets his shot blocked, but right to Travis. Pretty much like we expected. 54th time these teams have met.
They've known each other when it was the old MCC, the Horizon League. They know each other, maybe different players, but the rivalry is still there.
They played together for one season in the Atlantic 10 as well. Blewett a tough take, and with the left hand spins it off of the glass.
But it was a quick, decisive move that time by Trayvon Blewett by attacking the rim.
Keelan Martin passed up the open 3 to get the easier bucket.
But not only that, using his right shoulder to put it right in the middle of the chest of Jaden Reynolds. That time Reynolds wasn't able to elevate to attempt to block the shot. Smart play by Martin.
Third player into double figures for Butler. He's got 11. Jones and Dunham both have 10. Reynolds inside against Travis.
I want you to keep your eye here. Opportunity to get a three-point shot, but Keelan Martin didn't settle for the jump shot. And as a young player, these are things that you learn as you get older. Right here, watch this right shoulder right into the chest of Jalen Reynolds. That just takes away any ability for Reynolds to elevate and not and attempt to block the shot.
Martin making his first start of the season today. As Chris Holtman shook up that lineup. 3 first-time starters. Gathers and Martin and Etherington trying to play with his 5 toughest players from Thursday in that loss against Providence. One more coming for Jalen Reynolds. Frustration showing after that front-end miss. 1 of 2.
And that time, better rotation, better finish after the shot, or the ball left his hand. As a result, all net.
9 for Reynolds. Gathers in for Jones. 6-point game nearing the 13-minute mark. One of these teams will fall to 0-2 in Big East play despite entering the week in the top 10. Travis coming alive for Butler, but it rolled off the front of the rim. Abell looks to run. It's Davis. Transition. Too strong. Blewett the offensive rebound. Nearly turned it over. Blewett tees it up. Rebound for Gathers. The tempo picking up.
2 excellent opportunities for Xavier, but couldn't convert.
Kellen Dunham, third three of the day. It missed 23 in a row from outside coming in. He's knocked down all three today.
And the expression from the bench, the excitement to see the shot go in for Kellen Dunham speaks volumes of how much they really want to see Kellen get back on top of his game and what it means for their team.
Makira, teardrop, no. Tipped up and in. How did he get his hand on it? Timeout, Chris Mack. They missed about a 12-footer and then tipped it up and in on the other side of the rim.
Santa has.
Welcome back, Xavier, holding on to a slim 5-point lead. And as a shooter and scorer, I always knew where the ball was coming off. And Jamie McCure right here misses the shot, but able to tip it back in. And how about Kellen Dunham lining up this three-point shot on fire right down the bench? It's loving to see their senior able to knock in shots. And you see right here, Kellen Dunham, he struggled. We talked about it coming into the game. But yet and still, I think early in the game, Joe, the ability for him to knock down an early shot, and even the one where he's kind of forced up with the shot clock going in, to see the ball, to feel it go through the basket.
You know what that feels like.
I know what it feels like. I know what it feels like.
The ball going through the basket and the 0 for 23 that preceded it. You know that, too?
Well, not the 0 for 23. No, I never knew that. No, I found ways to put it in there. I might have been 3 for 20, but I scored.
There was no 0 for 23.
No,
Here is Dunham shaking far. He stayed with it. He contested the shot, pulled it out of there. Austin back in the game running the point.
At that time, Favre doing an excellent job of hands high, not bailing Dunham out.
Makira. Foul on the rebound. They get James Farr battling with Dunham. Another break. Inside of 11 and a half left. Heck of a game going in Cincy. The UFC starts off a new year with a bang. It all begins on FS1 with the return of the power-punching phenom Michael McDonald. His first fight in over 2 years. Taking on the veteran Masanori Kanehara. UFC 195 starts with the prelims at 7:30 tonight. Only on FS1, and then it streams live on Fox Sports Go. What do I got to pay you to stick you in the ring with one of those guys?
A lot.
Okay. Don't have it.
Heck of a lot. You know, I may act crazy, but I'm not. Okay, those guys are
crazy.
Yeah,
that
and
crazy.
A different kind of crazy too. The kind of crazy that loves to get hit. Okay,
that ain't me. So inside of 12 minutes in a tight rivalry game in Cincinnati between a pair of top 10 teams. Headline game in this Big East Marathon today. Dunham, they'll shoot it from out there. Here he drives on Makira and draws the foul. That's an element of his game that he started to develop last year.
Right.
It's in there.
Well, he can't go away from it. He has to accept that guys are going to play him for the jump shot, which now will open up driving ability, driving opportunities. He has the handles to get by guys, and you can see now he's putting a lot of pressure on whoever is guarding him and the help defense, that they're going to have to try to stop him not only from behind the arc, but also off the dribble.
This is Nate Fowler, freshman from right here in Cincinnati, getting more playing time today for Butler. Travis, deep post position before he travels.
Well, it was an excellent play to get Travis the basketball underneath, but then the recovery by Favre forces the travel inside.
The 9th turnover, which is just short of the season average for Butler. We're near the halfway mark.
Let's see if Xavier can get something, I was going to say, inside. This is where they were able to kind of establish themselves offensively inside out. That time Favre open, probably going for the shot before he's able to actually receive the basketball inside.
Fowler sits down. Cincinnati Moeller High School, same spot that former point guard at Butler Alex Barlow attended. Kaiser Gates in for Chris Mack. Dunham trying to get loose. Travis size advantage on Austin. Austin picks up Dunham, who steps back baseline. Good defense from Larry Austin.
Yeah, excellent defense, cutting off the baseline.
Now he takes it end to end, and Farr follows the miss.
And that's why, Joe, you want to get out in transition. Offensive rebounds are available when you get it out quick. Defense can't get back. Excellent play by Austin, but excellent play by Farr as well.
Jones high off the glass. No, Austin's got it again. Austin with a crossover on Lewis. Gates launches and hits. Nearly a turnover instead of foul on Makira. And Jeffrey Anderson quickly in his ear to say, calm down. It's number 2 on the sophomore.
Excellent hustle by Makira, diving after the loose ball. And this momentum right here as the reach, it caused the trip. So the official, I think if Lewis could have stood upright and not fallen, probably would have let the call go. But because he did get pushed to the floor a little bit, he had to make that call.
7-0 Xavier run. Butler's gone more than 3 minutes without a field goal. Here's Dunham, leaving it off for Weidman. Quick spin move, and he's fouled. Miles Davis called for his third.
At that time, Miles Davis, excellent rotation to take the initial thrust from Weidman away. But once again, once the ball got down, Davis reaches in and now bails out Weidman, forcing him to go to the free throw line.
It's a 7th Xavier foul. Butler will shoot the rest of the way.
And it's so hard, I will say this from a guard's perspective, when the post player brings the ball below his waist, not to reach for the ball, but you have to stay disciplined in that aspect and not go for it.
65% foul shooter, makes 1 of 2. And snaps an 8-0 Xavier run. James Farr with a whistle away from the ball. Was it on the ball? They get Weidman. They did. Xavier not yet in the bonus. It's only the 5th on Butler. Weidman's third.
Weidman has to be a little bit smarter, knowing that once the ball is received by Farr inside, that the double team will come. Again, you let one of those fouls go, that could come back to haunt you, to put this Xavier team closer to getting into the penalty.
Jeffrey Anderson stepping in between Dunham and Farr. They're getting ahead of anything chippy. They'll change inbounders. Miles Davis comes over and inbounds instead of Larry Austin. Davis, Farr, got it.
And we talked about the importance of having Miles Davis play an all-around floor game. And right now, making passes, setting up his teammates, doing an excellent job.
Dunham's first miss from outside today is rebounded by Xavier.
And that time, Miles Davis, the little things inside, checking out a bigger, stronger Roosevelt Jones, not allowing him to get inside position for an offensive rebound.
Well, James Farr, his 11th rebound today to go along with 8 points.
Impact.
Austin gets inside. He nearly turns it over. Last touch by Butler. Excellent inbound with 11 to shoot. Lewis out, Travis in. And so you'd assume that Jones would now handle the ball. Here's O'Mara replacing Gates. Austin sits down. Blewett comes in. He'll trigger the inbound.
Same play from out of bounds underneath.
Martin closed out, so Davis went by him. O'Mara's got the offensive rebound and the putback. Largest lead of the game for Xavier as we roll inside 8 minutes in this top 10 matchup. Foul on the rebound on Butler. That was going to be an easy tip-in for Martin, but instead, it'll be Xavier basketball. Number 6 starting to feel it.
This is the war that wins the game. Win the war, win the game. Win the war, win the game. Great job that last war of being a much better, stiffer, ball screen defensive team. We were jumping. Here's the one thing, Larry, this goes for you too. When you're the
All right, it's all I need to hear to watch this next 7:51.
It's interesting because it's a game within the game in basketball. You have different periods of time that whether it's a 4 or 5 minute stretch that you have to dominate. And I think what Chris Mack is talking about is defensively, they've been able to lock in, negate any opportunities, but offensively, take advantage of their defense abilities, but then finish off plays with scores. And that's why they've been able to reestablish themselves and take more control and momentum away from Butler.
It's been a game of runs. Xavier's on one right now. Foul number 7 on Butler. And so 1-1 coming here.
And Joe, you have to keep in mind, when you talk about runs in the game, there's a difference between a 12-2 run and an 8-4 run. An 8-4 run still allows you to stay close in reaching distance. When it's 12-0, 12-2, 10-0, that puts so much pressure on your defense and offense to get back in. That's what you want to avoid when you're a coach.
Tyler Weidman, back-to-back fouls, has fouled out of the game. And Sean O'Mara goes to the line. You know, to your point about those runs, yeah, 11-2 Xavier, 7-0 Butler, 12-1 right now Xavier.
Right. And now you look at yourself, if you're Butler, knock down the free throw, you're down 14 because of those. And now it's harder for you to score. You got to score in bunches. But also, again, what gets you back in the game is 7.5 minutes, a lot of time to play, a lot of possessions left. You must get stops in the defensive end if you're talking about getting back in the game.
This is one of the top offensive teams in the country statistically, averaging close to 90 per game. Xavier holding Butler to 53 right now.
But keep in mind, as we get into conference play, those numbers tend to skew down because of the competition that you're playing against week in and week out.
Steven Martin fired one up that wouldn't go. Yeah, the 144-point output in one game, that skews those numbers some.
Now, it's different when you had the UNLV teams back in the early 90s. It didn't matter when they were playing. They were going to score a bunch of points. But for most schools, those numbers tend to come down.
The Butler thus far against the schedule they've played, they've hit about 50% in more than half their games. Fluid Storway gives it back to the Bulldogs with 6:54 and a 15-point gap. Gathers back in.
And that's the defensive possession right there. We talked about Butler. You get the stop. Now let's see if they can capitalize and get the shot, a good shot, high percentage shot that they need.
One of these teams will come up with a response after an on-1 beginning to conference play. Dunham made the extra pass. It's Travis against Reynolds. Clean.
You see the patience that time. Travis looked, took a power dribble to the middle of the key, but then used that left elbow and that arm to create enough space to use the glass on the opposite side to knock in the shot.
That's a 5.5-minute field goal drought for Butler. Inside they go to Reynolds, sweeping through the lane. Hook shot goes.
And I know Jalen made that shot, but the evolution of his game is this. He's a right-handed player. They're going to force him, and they know he's going right. He has to eventually sometimes spin back to his left, relieve the pressure, and go for an easier shot.
So why aren't you forcing him left if you're Travis?
Well, you have to take away the middle. If you're Travis, that time you gave up too much ground. Reynolds able to capitalize.
Jones gets his way to the rim, which he does oftentimes whenever he wants. Butler hanging around, 13-point game, 5.5 left. Number 6 against number 9. Abell got in the lane, got cut off. Miles Davis, big-time free ball.
But did you see him square him up? The confidence in that stroke.
Gathers, no. Jones able to track it down. Right back up, but a whistle. And a foul. 1-1 coming for Jones.
And I'll go back. No rush this time in Miles Davis. Watch on the catch. Squares up, gathers right here, smoothly into his jump shot. See, that's when you know a player is in rhythm. When he understands time and score and possession. Why rush the shot when I know that if I create enough space, I can get it up? Extreme amount of confidence, and that came from early in the game of knocking down shots for Miles Davis.
And they want to finish the first half. Has 3 total free balls now and 11 points. 1-1 Roosevelt Jones. One more coming for the 5th-year senior, who's tied for the team lead with 13. Right at his season average now.
And the question as the time continues to tick down, if you're Butler, can we score quick enough, get enough stops to get us back in the game?
Abell was fouled. That'll be a 1-1. Jalen Reynolds called, or Tyler Lewis, beg your pardon, called for his first. 1-1 for Remy Abell. 78% foul shooter. What a first half he had. 14. 17 total for him now. They're one of 3 teams in the country yet to be out-rebounded this year. The other 2 teams Butler has already played and beaten.
What makes an excellent rebounding team, Joe? It's not just your backcourt players, it's your front court players, cleaning up a lot of the loose, long rebounds. The Xavier guards take pride in really backing up their backcourt players and cleaning up the loose balls.
Jones muscles his way inside. Davis follows it, no, and a rebound and a foul. Well, you asked at the start of the game, by the way, who would be that second scoring source. Well, Edmund Sumner out. Remy Abell has matched a career high today with 18, providing that answer for you.
But it comes from a player that has experience, because a lot of times why coaches in college don't like to isolate players is because they don't have confidence that they'll take smart and high percentage shots. As an older player, by telling Remy to be more aggressive off the dribble, he trusts that he'll make the right decisions and take the right kind of shots that won't hurt his team but only help his team, and he's proven that to be the case today.
Xavier 14 of 19 at the foul line. Kaiser Gates off of the bench, 5 points. Continue to get the job done at the stripe. Blewett sits down. Makira comes in. 18-point game with 4:45. Dunham for 3. Martin tracks down the miss. And with a foul on Miles Davis, his 4th. You put the top free throw shooter in the conference at the line. 1-1.
On the line for Butler, shooting 1+ the bonus, number 24.
Oh.
Wow. I jinxed him.
Yeah, a rare miss that time by Kellen Dunham from the free throw line. It does happen occasionally.
Gates left alone. They call Makira for the foul, going up over Lewis. In Jeffrey Anderson's estimation, he used Lewis to get into the air.
A little push underneath, but I love the play. That time it was a double pick and roll with Gates being the last one as the shooter. That time, Butler defense not able to get there, but excellent box out inside. The crowd is not happy with the call on Makura.
That's the 10th foul, 2 shots for Tyler Lewis, who has 3 today, only 4 points total over the last 2 games.
The importance of getting to the free throw line now with the clock stop. If you make the second one, to get your defense set and try to force Xavier into a bad shot or a turnover.
Running out of time, though, inside of 4 minutes.
And you see the side pick and roll. This time, Jalen Reynolds. You see the shoulder? Travis didn't have a chance. That time he's backpedaling, but a little extra emphasis with the inside shoulder of Jalen Reynolds created enough space for that dunk.
Get out of his way.
Yeah, that's a grown man move right there.
And it was kicked out of bounds by Xavier. Butler will inbound on the other side of the break. Jalen Reynolds, big man, has shown some savviness with a hook shot. Here it's just straight up, get out of my way, power.
Get out and let me finish inside. Jalen Reynolds getting it done.
Butler had cut it to 3. Xavier's gone on a run, leads by 18. We look at our stats update sponsored by the Jeep Grand Cherokee. This is one of the top offensive teams in the country. They've shot about 50% in more than half of their games. They're number 3 in the country as far as protecting the ball. Are we seeing them not performing well on the offensive end, or do we give credit to Xavier defensively?
You have to give credit to the Xavier team. 11 turnovers is not bad, but when you average 9, it stands out. But Xavier, they're long, they're athletic, they force you to shoot over the top. They're not getting the easy baskets that you're accustomed to. So give the credit to Xavier for coming out and staying true to their scouting report.
Keelan Martin couldn't get loose of J.P. Makura. Lewis, beautiful bounce for Travis, who will head to the line. Foul on Larry Austin. It's his 3rd. So there's a good chance Butler's going to fall to 0-2 in Big East play with their first 2 games. Number 12 Providence, number 6 Xavier. And after going to DePaul on Tuesday, and keep in mind DePaul played Seton Hall right down to the wire today. They host Villanova. And then they go to Providence again in a few weeks.
Well, and that's the beauty about conference play, is that you don't have a day off, a week off, because no matter who you play, it's going to be a tough game, in particular if you go on the road. So Xavier has some games coming up with this Butler team. And you're going to have to figure it out. And you have to figure it out quickly.
Came into conference play at 11-1 with the lone loss to Miami. They lose to Providence in the opener. A game that they led at halftime. They gave up 56 after the break. And Xavier is pulled away in the second half of this one to respond to its blowout loss against Villanova. Remy Abell around a Reynolds screen, firing away and knocking it down, putting an exclamation on a career day.
And if you ever notice Remy Abell, when he shoots his jump shot, he's always falling back. Well, you say don't do that as a shooter, but it allows him against a taller player, see Lewis get to the basket like Travis, create space and get a shot over a longer defender.
Career high 21.
And watch right here. See, he's going backwards on his shot. Now, the taller defender, Travis, is there, but you can't get to him. So a lot of times momentum makes the shot short, but that's how Remy Abell shoots. Okay, he's taught himself over the years to feel comfortable falling back a little bit more, but still being able to knock it down.
Fouler for number 45, Andrew Travis.
Senior out of Louisville. Started his career at Indiana. He's got 21 today. But he's a defensive-minded guy. He stated his goal coming into the year as being the defensive player of the year in the conference. But today it's been about his offense. overshadowing the job that he's done chasing Kellen Dunham all over the place on the defensive end.
As an all-around player, you take pride in doing everything and not just focusing on your offense, which is an easy thing to do. But to be able to play tough defense and still be effective offensively is a credit to Remy, not only Remy, but the coaching staff.
Fowler stuck his hand in the entry to Reynolds. 2 minutes left. A 19-point game. Dunham goes by Makira, throws it up. Martin follows, gets his own miss. In traffic. Misses again. Rebound Gates.
And again, the size of Xavier. Influential right there and taking away what seemed to be a couple easy shots by Martin inside, making it a little bit more difficult.
How about this response today from Chris Mack's team after the blowout loss, still without their point guard Edmund Sumner?
You always look at adversity kind of to see what kind of team, what you're made of. And on key right here, different players stepped up at different points of this game to provide a spark for Xavier. But I think what you really see is you see right here now it's steal by Austin in transition, and the emphatic dunk is a response to play harder defensively.
Wow. I think a lot of people looked at that blowout loss on New Year's Eve at Villanova and said, yes, they lost their point guard, but maybe Xavier just got exposed playing Villanova. They made a statement of their own today.
People got to understand this about Nova. The problem they present is having 2 to 3 guards that can beat you. Either shooting the jump shot or beating you off the dribble. That puts so much emphasis and pressure on your defense. And matchup-wise, it's tough to corral that. And you saw that being exposed a little bit. Villanova to Xavier in that game.
What do you think? Is Villanova, I mean, did they prove on Thursday that, again, they're the team to beat?
It's just like the champ in boxing. You have to knock the champ out.
Right.
Okay? And you have to beat Nova on their home court in the Big East Championship to knock them off their throne. And right now, they still the standard bearer in the Big East until somebody takes that crown away.
I'm looking forward to Villanova at Creighton to finish our marathon tonight. Tim Brando and Nick Ba in Omaha with a call. 3 more games coming in this Big East marathon. Lewis blocked from behind by Stainbrook. It's Matt's brother Tim.
Getting a little love there.
St. John's and Providence coming up next. Providence beating Butler on Thursday. They're now taking on the Johnnies. Run all but 1 second off of the clock. One of these teams is going to come up with a big response today. And it's the home team getting the job done. Going on a 29-13 run down the stretch. They fouled on Jackson Davis. Here's what's left, or what's coming up for Chris Mack. They go to New York next week. At St. John's on Wednesday. This is a relatively, I mean, you look at what Butler's got and you compare it to this. This is a relatively easy next few games for Chris Mack's team.
Relatively?
I mean, it's all relative. Rarely do you get an easy night in the Big East, but you're looking at teams that were picked and right now are in the bottom half.
Well, here's the thing about teams, too. You get a big win at home. You carry that over into the next game against St. John's, a team that you should be on the road. Where's your focus? That'll tell the tell sign of where the Xavier team is at early in the season.
Lewis tacks on a 3 to his total to finish the day, but Xavier moves to 13-1 in the season, getting its first Big East win against the 9th-ranked Butler Bulldogs, who fall to 0-2 in conference play. 88-69 the final. Now we send you to our Fox College Hoops studio. Plenty more coming today, but right now here's Rob Stone, Steve Lavin, Donnie Marshall.
All right, guys, day earlier, it was Seton Hall going to 2-0 in conference play, and now we see 9th-ranked Butler fall to 0-2 to start Big East activity. Xavier, where did they win it on the day, Donnie?
Well, your size, inside, just what we talked about before this game. The best way to do it, Edmund Sumner out of the game, no point guard really. Larry Austin Jr. tried to do that. Miles Davis, they put some guys into those spots, but it's all about the bigs. Reynolds, Blewett, and Farr in particular. I thought James Farr, this season is a career year for him. He averaged 4.2 points a game last year. Less than that the year before. He's up to almost 11 points a game. And this is just, it's huge for him because the tip dunks, going towards the basket, scoring, his teammates looking for him. It's just such a better place for him to be in. Before this game, he only took 5 three-pointers on the season, Coach. He averaged about 35 threes a season. And I just think he's a better player now that he's 6'10", and he understands his business is closer to the basket.
Xavier getting 5 players in double figures. They improved to 13-1, 1-1 in conference play. We go back courtside. Jim Jackson hanging out with Xavier head coach Chris Mack.
Thanks a lot, Rob. Coach, 19-point win against this tough Butler team. I know you issued a challenge to your team coming off that Villanova loss. How did they respond in your mind?
It's a tough turnaround, for both teams. You're talking about 36 hours of prep time. Both teams run a lot of stuff. Really happy with our guys' energy, their effort. Obviously, we're missing Edmund. I'm sure he's back in the dorm watching it. And it's one of those things where it's not so much what he does on the court, but our team isn't whole. He's in practice every day. He's one of the guys, and so it's sad in the way because we want to be a whole team, but our guys stepped up. That senior next to you, Remy Abell, he hasn't had maybe individually the type of year he had a year ago. He's never let his foot off the gas defensively, and he was a monster tonight.
I know you talked to Remy about being more aggressive offensively, put the ball on the deck. He was able to get that done this afternoon.
He can really drive the ball. He's got a great burst. Sometimes he relies too much on just shooting threes, but it was good. After yesterday's practice, he stuck around with Coach Steele, got a ton of shots, and I think it helped his confidence, and it showed today.
Thanks a lot, Coach. You got it. Remy and I go back a long way, back to your Indiana days, and I'm so happy for you for the game that you were able to put together. Coach Mack issued a challenge to you to attack off the dribble, especially with Kellen Dunham. In your mind, what did that do for you confidence-wise?
I mean, getting to the rim, it helped me out a lot. But, like I said, I haven't been doing well on offense. But my coaches, my teammates, everybody in the locker room, the GA, the manager, they all continue to believe in me, trust in me, and continue to have confidence in me. So I'm just coming out, trying to play hard for my teammates. It's a good team win, and good win on the home floor.
Well, after the tough loss to Villanova, how important was it for you and your teammates to come out and kind of reestablish who you are from a Xavier perspective, in particular on the defensive end against this tough Butler team?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, Coach preaches defense all year. Every practice we work on, half of the practice is with defense. So, like you say, he challenged us to how was our response was going to be, and we responded well. We got a top 10 win on our home floor. Like I said, it feels good. Now we got to continue to build on this.
All right, thanks a lot. Back to you, Rob.
All right, Jim, thank you. So everybody talking about the response by Xavier, that response following the 31-point dismantling just days ago at Villanova. The mental approach right from the get-go seemed to be on target for the club from Cincy.
Yeah, there's no doubt. I think high marks to Xavier, the coaching staff. When you have adversity, whether it's losing a great player or losing a big game, and combining those two, in this case, with the Musketeers losing by 31 and losing Sumner, at least for a short period of time here, you're curious about how a team is going to respond. And its purest form, let's face it, sport is a metaphor for life. And it's really about how do your kids, individually and collectively, find the resolve or the wherewithal to fight back. And I think Xavier did that. They answered the bell in every way, Donnie.
I love when Coach brings out the metaphors. We'll just send it.
True.
And with
Youth
that.
represents life. Appreciate, right?
I love it. I'm just listening. I'm taking it all in.
What is it? The slow river is the deep.
It's still waters run deep.
Still water.
Come on,
Chris Dunn. We get to see the full-length interview tomorrow on Inside the Big East.
You're the best. The top team in the Big East right now, is it